training our own mind with 4 thoughts. So first is how difficult for us to be born as a human being. So today, finally, with so much of difficulties and with our merit, we are born as a human being. Unfortunately, even when we are born as a human being, most of us don't know how to treasure this beautiful gift, and we somehow abuses it. And the more sad part of the life is we live a very short life. As mentioned, we are born to die, don't know when, how, where, and every day we are just getting shorter and closer to our death. And if you look back, all these are just memories. There's nothing that we have achieved, to be really honest. And when we depart from this body, we will just become a stranger, total stranger. The moment our soul or the mind leave our body, we are just a stranger to our own body, to our loved one, and all the possession we have. It's just really a stranger. So the short life that we live, and we all wish to be happy and always searching for cause of happiness. So today, our thought is on how happy can we be? And as mentioned in the text, the fact of life. Unfortunately, everything around us is imperfect, constantly changing, and all contaminated. So when we really contemplate on this, in this universe, in this world, and if you look at such nature as geographically speaking, there's volcanoes, earthquake, tsunamis, and all kind of natural disaster that is like making the whole world sufferings, such as pandemic, and so even the forest, river, for example, wildfire in Australia, if you look at it, all this are, even the natures are sufferings. So being like ourselves, the sentient beings dwelling in this world, namely human being, an animal, that is quite obvious, and in the form of biological existence where we can see and feel. Of course, then formless, such as spirit, we call pretas, and hell realm, as well as God realms. So if you kind of analyze those sentient beings in this universe or this world, and there's none that is really happy or safe haven somewhere. So let's just begin with human being. As a human being, as Gautama Buddha taught, there are 7 unavoidable sufferings or pain that we will experience, or we are experiencing right now. So firstly, suffering of birth. So when we say birth, of course even if you look at this current body, that when we are born in this world, the pregnancy of 9 months, we can't even live in the darkness for like 1 minute. 9 months in that darkness, with so much of pressure and all this discomfort in the stomach. Finally, when we kind of delivered and being really crushed and squeezed between, mother's leg, not only that we suffer, including the dear mother, experiencing almost death. So after delivering, then we are not able to talk, we are not able to walk, we are not able to express ourselves. And so up to teenagers, we go through a lot of sufferings. And on top of that, if you really contemplate, and again returning to this world again and again, as we mentioned, not only as a human being, in many different forms, our souls entered into many different forms, and wherever you are born, and you are somehow subjected to be sufferings, so the birth is quite painful. And so that's why it is unavoidable, regardless of who you are, wealthy, powerful, successful. Nothing can avoid saying that, oh, you are born into a very rich family, this year you will be born from maybe, I don't know, I can't even explain that. How can the wealthy people can deliver, yes, surgery? Your mother go through a lot, and even during a pregnancy, oh, you were born with millions of money, and maybe you don't have to be pregnant with your mother, so you maybe put in the freezer somewhere. After 9 months, we just take you out, or we put you on the lotus. It's impossible, right? So, yeah. So nothing matters, whoever you are. You will go through this birth. And similarly, after birth is aging. And, well, Korea is doing well. There's a liposuction, Botox, a lot of treatment. But I don't know if it's really the way to prevent aging. Unfortunately, we are not able to prevent aging. And again, it doesn't matter who you are. We have to go through suffering of aging. Thirdly, sickness. Doesn't matter either you're young or age, you will get this disease or sickness one day, and then you'll be sick. And there's no way, being powerful, wealthy, holy, divine, pretty, smart, no way that you can prevent. Look at Steve Jobs, Well, this is really freaky to think about how unfair the world is, or the life is, if you look at it. Maybe you wanted to say it is because of God. Can God be that mean to you or to us? So in the Dharma we say it's a nature. These are the nature that it will happen to us, and this is why we call it samsara. That's why we say the fourth one, defect of life. These are the defect, unavoidable. Lastly, death. Well, we just covered it. Don't know when, how, where, but for sure we will die. And nobody wants to die. So these are the four unavoidable sufferings that all of us will go through, starting right down from a beggar to the end, the leader of the world. No way, including God. So, and the three fundamental sufferings are, we call it suffering of change. For example, say when you are healthy, successful, powerful family, suddenly someone just died in your family, or you are diagnosed with incurable disease, and somehow, suffering of change. Your happiness will be in next second, it will become sufferings. So this can also happen to any of us. So that's why the first one we call it the suffering that can be changed anytime, or that can be happen anytime. Changeable emotions or the sufferings. And the second is suffering on top of sufferings. You are not well, diagnosed with such deadly diseases. Suddenly your old mother died. Your son or daughter is being really out of control, started abusing, and then your business failed. Your wife or husband is cheating on you. This is happening somewhere. And it happens to me, for example, suffering on top of sufferings, one after another or one on the top of other. And the last one is that suffering that contains in everything around us by nature. For instance, say that you wish to own a car and you really save your money, The moment you make your down payment, you got your car key and you thought, wow, when I get to drive my own car, my dream car. The moment you get the car key, your suffering begins. Here your car becoming the cause of your sufferings. You are maybe a new driver. You are not confident to drive this car. You are worried you may run into something else. And then you are worried it may get scratched. Or you have a lot of concern that your sibling wants to maybe drive it. People want to use your car. Then the car maintenance, insurance, oh la la. Then the whole suffering. Even with children, family, whatever you wish to gain and success, before you obtain or before you achieve, it maybe looks like a happiness. But when you really get it, it is just going to become eventually a cause of fear and insecurity and of course sufferings. So this is what we all go through with 7 difference of sufferings. On top of that, fear of not gaining what we want, fear of losing what we have, competition with our competitors, jealousy with someone is better than us, and discriminating someone is inferior than us. This is what we do from the day we realize we are individuals in this world. From the day that we realize that we have feelings, this is what we do. And this is how a human functions. And this is the fact, and this is the defect of human existence. So this is how we suffer as human beings. And now when we think of animal realms, there are wild animals, domestic animals, and creatures in the sea. And now if you think of suffering of domestic animals, how we use them as our slave by letting them carry weight and using them to plow our fields and consuming them as our meals, and of course using leather as our clothes. And sadly, they do have all the senses and fear, yet they are not able to express it and they are not able to talk to us. For example, when sometimes we say it will be good to be born as a pet, and even if you think of being someone's pet, for example, a dog, when the master put shoes on their legs, and you can clearly see that they are very uncomfortable walking in those shoes, but we stupid human being wanted our dog to be clean, so we just forced this on the dog. And perfuming, they are very putting clothes on top of their fur. It really doesn't make sense. For example, this is, even how animal actually suffer. And of course, if you look at wild animal, how they attack each other and how they are actually killed for their skin, their bones, and their meat. So constant fear, uncertainty. Of course, and most of the time, we human are the one who actually harm them as well. And then, if you look at the beings in the sea, and of course, how the seafood is really popular now. And it's more popular to be consumed fresh, meaning life, just before you actually order it. And of course, there are, such as drunken prawn, and those things are eaten live. And this is what even human does, to harm those animals. And when we are born as animal creatures, this is how we suffer. So, of course, as a human being, we go through a lot of sufferings. This is how animal suffers. And so if you move on, then now the formless spirits, for example, pretas, and of course all the ghosts, spirit, devils, all these are part of pretas. And when we get haunted or harmed by those spirits, and religiously we do a lot of powerful rituals to destroy their life, and exorcisms and all kind of things to actually kill them, So this is also very sad when you look at those life of spirits. Could be your own mother, siblings, your loved one. When someone very close to us died, and they are not able to let go of the feelings and clinging on us and their belongings, somehow because of that energy, we are born as spirit around the house. And the saddest part is, when they see their family member, they wanted to express their love. They wanted to actually come to us, and it's being very affectionate, actually. And unfortunately, death and life, energies are different. So somehow our energy doesn't match. Then that's how we fall sick, And this is very sad when you think of suffering of even pretas. And then, of course, not able to get food, not able to get any refuge. And there are realms of pretas, and where physically they have this form idea concept of a huge belly and very, very, very small throat, and where that nothing can, even though a drop of water can't actually swallow in, yet you are really hungry and you have this huge bellies that is burning, and then and constantly searching for food and drinks. And so you can find more on the internet. Anyway, these are the narrations of like how Prita suffers. But point is, even as a spirit, sometimes we think, oh, maybe next life I'll be born as a spirit and I can harm someone else. And it's not a very nice place to be in, unfortunately. So this is how Prita suffer. Then if you think of, oh, maybe it will be better option to be born as a god in the heaven. Yeah, at least in Buddhism you can be born as a god, but in other religion you can't be born as a god. You will be a slave of a god. So this is why we say to be in the heaven with the god, to be with the god, not to become a god. So in the Dharma, if you do something good, with conditions of like making aspiration and the wish to be born in the heaven, you will definitely born in heaven in your next life. And unfortunately, you want to stay there for too long. For example, say you're building a hospital for the community. And that hospital is built with guilt, because you are really negative and you criminals, you have done a lot of harmful things to others, and you fear that you maybe will go to hell after your death. And to save yourself from that, hell experience. You say build hospital, church, temple, or any good virtues in the name of God, or because of guilt and fear. So it's like investment. You're buying your holiday hours or time. It's time sharing, So after this, you will be born in heaven until you actually exhaust, use up your credit that you have accumulated by building temples, church, hospital, doing something good for others. But don't forget, you were a nasty people before that. And you have done nothing to undo those negative karma that you have accumulated. So, for example, say you are in the court hearing, and there are negative karma as well as positive karma. So you are being bailed out based on good karma, but after you kind of served your good karma's reward, and then you have to again serve the sentence of your bad karma. So this is why when you are born in heaven, eventually you will actually die, and you return to serve whatever the residual of your negative karma. So even to be born in a heaven is not really a place where we can be forever. And so then we talk about Asura, the semi-god, we call it. So in between human being and heaven, there's this semi-god called Asura, where they are very privileged, they are very healthy, wealthy, they have everything what God have. And unfortunately, they are very jealous. That their jealousy is their own enemy. There is this huge wish fulfillment tree. It's like their bank, for example, their government, say their finance. And it's apparently this tree gives all kinds of fruits, and whatever they wish can be actually grown on that tree. So God get to enjoy the first serving from the top of the tree, and semi-gods are very jealous of that. And they just wanted to destroy God's realms, and they just set for the war. And of course, realm is much upper, and they are higher, and Asura being a bit lower than them, so they have more, geographically, I guess, they have advantage just of attacking Asuras, and they attacked, and they get crushed and badly defeated. So that's how even Asura suffers. Anyway, to cut short, so in Samsara, 6 different realms. From heaven to the down to the hell, we call it 3 upper realm and 3 lower realm. So when we say 3 upper realms are the heaven, Asura, human. Why we call it upper realms? Because we do have some opportunity to be happy, peaceful, and we can, especially human beings are the most fortunate because we can make absolute decisions and the choice. For example, say Gautama Buddha was a human, Jesus Christ was a human, Muhammad was a human, Krishna, you name it. All the divine figures were in the form of human. And when you think of it, scientist, doctor, divine master, all the creators in the world was born as a human being. When we are born as a human being, we have the highest potential to become whatever we wish to become, and we can successfully actually achieve that. So this is why precious human rebirth is really, really a greatest gift for us. So with this, we call it 3 upper realm, where more fortunate and more freedom, And there are 3 lower realms. The lowest is hell, where they go through tremendous suffering. They are not only a hell, there are 18 different hells, and I will explain it in details later. So, from the lowest in this world, is hell realm, where they go through a lot of sufferings. Pretas are a little bit better. Animals are more fortunate than pretas. And of course, humans are like the best. So that's why the Master Karma Chamek and Sukhavadi aspiration in Dewachin Gimalam. When you are born as a human being, you are actually more far privileged than God realm. So this is how the defect of samsara, nowhere that we can be happy and everlasting happiness. Well, some of you can just make decisions saying that, who cares, I believe in something, and when I die, maybe I'll just go to heaven. If it makes sense, good luck to you, but I don't think there's a logic. If you do not have a very good record, I don't think God Papa can help us. We are our own creator. We are our own refuge. We are our own savior. So be kind and try not to be sinful and negative, I guess.